Welcome back. So, how many people watching this, when a late game that starts at 7:30 goes to a shootout, go, THG called it? So that's 2 days in a row. Tonight I actually saw that it went to a shootout because, hey, sometimes I do pay attention. That being, of course, I always do my best to pay attention. Today, long day of games. We'll start off looking at Ottawa and Florida. Ullmark versus Bobrovsky. They had a saxophone to play the anthem. I thought that was kind of fun. Not quite like the recorder from the Shorzy episode. So early press by Florida. We get a power play for the Panthers. That's killed off. The shots are 6-1 for Florida at 4 minutes. We then get a power play for Ottawa. And at 6:38, Tkachuk goes 5-hole from in close. So Brady Tkachuk gets the first Tkachuk goal of the game. Batherson and Stutzla with the assists. So 1-0 for Ottawa on the road. Power play for Florida, that's killed off. Shots are 10-4 for the Panthers at the half. The Panthers press with 8 minutes left. Good forechecking by the Panthers in this. Sanderson has a blast that's held. There's some pushing there. The Sens press in the final minute. With 11.7 seconds left, the Sens get a power play. So really good start. I mean, Florida had a lot of shots, but Ullmark looked great. And Ottawa has a 1-0 lead with a power play rolling into the second period. To start the second, the Panthers finish the kill. The Senators do press after it ends. Belinskas then has a shot that's held. The shots are 3-1 for Ottawa, 4 minutes in. We then get a power play for Florida, and they score on it. At 6:18, it's Tkachuk, so that's another Tkachuk goal, this time Matthew, from Reinhart and Barkov. The Sens press at 7.5 minutes. The shots are 9-5 Panthers at 8.5 minutes. The Panthers press at the half, and then during a delayed call, Barkov scores to make it 2-1 for Florida. Tkachuk and Verhaeghe with the assists at 11:36. Sens press for response. The Panthers go back to the power play. That's killed off, but at 16:26, Forsling buries one from the high slot on a rush. Schmidt with the assist. It's 3-1 in favor of Florida. Panthers look for another, and they find it. Bennett goes posting in from Tkachuk and Rodriguez at 17:58. So Matthew Tkachuk with 3 points in the second period. Florida with 4 goals. They're up 4-1 after 2. Third period, shots are 3-2 for Florida at 3.5 minutes. Brady Tkachuk has a net feed that's held. The team's trade rushes. Sens press at 8.5 minutes. Good forechecking again by Florida. Mikkola has a one-timer that's held. Panthers press with 8 minutes left. Shots are 7-6 Florida with 7.5 minutes left. Now, Ottawa pulls the goalie early because they're down by 3. We get a power play for Florida, and then we get a power play for Ottawa after that's been killed off. And during the Ottawa power play, Lundell hits the empty net. So it's the rare shorthanded empty net goal at 18:38. And the final score in this one's 5-1 for Florida. They go to 34-20-3 with the win. With the loss, Ottawa 29-23-4 on the year. Shots on net, 16-9 Florida in the first, 20-9 Florida in the second, 12-9 Florida in the third. Final shots 48-27 for Florida. Power plays, Ottawa 1 for 3, Florida 1 for 5. The hits 30-21 for Florida. Ullmark 43 saves on 47 shots. Bobrovsky 26 saves on 27 shots. All right, next up. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, the Battle of Pennsylvania. So it's Bloomquist versus Harrison, and at 1:44 on their first shot, Philadelphia scores. Lawton buries one on a rush. Konechny and Kuzmenko with the assist. So Kuzmenko with a helper in his first game with Philly. The Penguins press at 5 minutes. Shots are 3-1 for the Pens at 6 minutes. Michkov then has a net feed. That's blocked. The Flyers get stuck at one shot for a while. The Pens press with 6.5 minutes left. We get a power play for Pittsburgh. That's killed off. The Penguins then press with a minute and a half left. They get more pressure to close it out. But despite all that pressure, Philadelphia leads 1-0 after the first period. Second period, Penguins press at 2.5 minutes. Shots are 4-1 Pittsburgh at 3.5 minutes. The team's trade rushes, and then at 4:19, Erik Karlsson ties the game. He puts it far side from the right circle. Grzelcyk and Raquel with the assists. The Penguins then press for the lead. The Flyers are again stuck at one shot. There's a press by the Flyers with 8.5 minutes left, and then at 12:26. So it's one of those times where a goaltender's racing to the puck, and so's the forward, and Bloomquist doesn't quite get it, and so Hathaway has an open net, and he buries it into the open net, makes it 2-1 for Philly. Shots are 10-6 for Pittsburgh with 6.5 minutes left. Michkov has a net drive chance that's held. The Flyers press with 5.5 minutes left. Konechny has a screenshot that's saved. Felt like Philly got some more confidence as that second period went along, especially after that goal went in, and it's 2-1 for them after 2. Third period, Sanheim has a shot that's caught and held. There's a post for Achari as the Penguins press. Heinen misses one high from in close. Shots are 3-2 in favor of Philadelphia at 4 minutes, and at 4:27, Konechny deflects in a point shot. Well, Konechny was at the point that it deflects in from there, York and Sanheim with the assists at 4:27. So it's 3-1 in favor of Philly. But at 5:42, Hayes buries a loose puck to make it 3-2. Heinen and Beauvillier with the assists. And the review for that took a while, but they confirmed that it's a good goal. Nieto then has a net drive this block. The Flyers press at the half. The Penguins press with 8.5 minutes left. We get a power play for Philadelphia. That becomes 33 seconds of 4-on-4. Everything gets killed off there. Penguins press with 2.5 minutes left, and despite their best efforts, Philadelphia actually beats Pittsburgh 3-2. They go to 24, 26, and 7 with the win. With the loss, Pittsburgh 23, 25, and 9 on the year. Shots on net 10-2 Pittsburgh in the first, 11-7 Pittsburgh in the second, 12-11 Pittsburgh in the third. They do outshoot the Flyers 33-20. Power plays Pittsburgh 0-2, Philadelphia 0-1. The hits 18-15 Philadelphia. Bloomquist saves 17 out of 20. Ersson 31 saves on 33 shots. All right, moving along. The Rangers in Columbus, and the Rangers are trying to pull themselves really back into this race. And Ottawa's leaving that door open. Detroit lost earlier today, so this is a really unsettled Eastern Conference. Should make for a ridiculous run to the finish line once we get past this 2-week break. It's Quick versus Merzlikins, and on a wraparound, Kaliev scores for the Rangers. Lindgren and Zibanejad with the assists at 1:56. Rangers look for another. VC has a rush chance that's saved. The shots are 4-1 for New York, 5 minutes in. Rempe has a chance that's held. Columbus presses at 6 minutes. The Rangers press at 9 minutes, but eventually Columbus scores. Kent Johnson buries one from the side of the net. Werenski and Fantilli with the assists at 14:31. And then at 15:29, Danforth scores. That one from Jack Johnson and Aston Reese. And Columbus is up 2-1 after one. Second period, early press by the Rangers. Fantilli's denied on a rush. The Rangers press at 3.5 minutes. The shots are only 2-1 in favor of New York, 4.5 minutes in. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4, and that suits the Rangers just fine. Mika Zibanejad scores 4-on-4 from Fox and Kreider at 6:38. Olivier then has a net drive chance that's saved. The Rangers press at 9.5 minutes. Shots are 9-7 for the Rangers with 7 minutes left. The Rangers press with 5 minutes left. At 17:17, Van Riemsdyk buries a net feed on the rush. Severson and Sillinger with the assists. So somehow this game's 3-2 in favor of Columbus, even though it felt like the Rangers were in control of a lot of it. Then Olivier's denied in the closing seconds. And so, Columbus is up 3-2 after 2. Third period. Early press by the Rangers, and eventually they score. At 1:57, Will Cooley scores from Trocheck. He's been cold lately, so maybe he's heating up. Rangers press for the lead. The shots are 10-2 for New York, 9 minutes into the period. Rempe can't bury one in close. The Rangers press with 9.5 minutes left. Columbus presses. They're kept to the outside. Near miss for Cooley. The Columbus Blue Jackets clear. Columbus presses with 2 minutes left, but Cooley would score again at 18:21. Vinny Trocheck with the assist here. It's 4-3 for the Rangers. The goalie pull happens pretty much right after that with 1:20 left. Columbus is not able to tie it. The Rangers win in Columbus 4-3. They go to 27-24-4. So they're now 4 points back of a playoff spot. Columbus 26-22-8, and they missed a chance to get closer to the playoffs themselves. Shots on net, 12-10 Rangers in the first, 11 apiece in the second, 17-4 Rangers in the third. Final shots 40-25 for the Rangers. There were no power plays. According to the app, no power plays. I never wrote any down. Hits 24-18 for the Rangers. Jonathan Quick, 22 saves on 25 shots. Elvis Merzlikins, 36 saves on 40 shots. So for Quick, that's win number 401. All right, next up, Chicago and St. Louis. So there was a lot of scoring today. But if you look at the games where there was a lot of scoring, there was usually a sub-playoff team that's involved. And in this case, it's 2 sub-playoff teams involved. So here we are. Soderblom versus Binnington. There's an early press by the Blues. The shots are 2-1 for the Hawks at 2.5 minutes. And at 5:04, Craig Smith buries a cross-ice pass. Maroon and Martinez with the assists. And then at 5:42, Donato gets his 4th goal in 3 games. He's upping his value at the trade deadline. Bedard with the assist there. So it's 2-0 for Chicago. Hawks press at 7 minutes. Bertuzzi has a rush chance that's blocked out. The Blues press with 8 minutes left. The Hawks then get some pressure with 5.5 minutes left. Leddy has a tip shot that saved. The Blues press in the final minute. It's 2-0 Chicago after the first. Second period. Early press by Chicago, but at 1:40, Broberg puts one in off Soderblom's glove to get them on the board. Joseph and Shen with the assists. And then at 1:50, Nathan Walker roofs one from the slot on a turnover. So in 10 seconds, the lead is gone. Just poof. Done. Mind freak, Chris Angel stuff just gone. It's like the elephant. That's why I stopped watching it. The elephant just that was it. I was like, you can't make an elephant disappear. I'm out. Anyways, shots are 2-1 for the Blues at 4 minutes. The Blues press at 5.5 minutes. We get a power play for St. Louis. That's killed off. The Blues press with 8.5 minutes left. We get a power play for St. Louis again. That's killed off as well. The Blues press with 4 minutes left. And eventually on a turnover and on a pass from behind the net, Joseph gets his first in a while. Shannon Holloway with the assists at 17:09. It's 3-2 St. Louis after 2. Third period. Kyrou has a rush chance at save. Then there's a post for Kyrou. It's really all Blues. But then at 3 minutes and 50 seconds, Martinez scores. He's been hot this week goal-scoring wise. He wires it from the slot. TOR-VAN and Mikheyev with the assists. However, St. Louis answers at 4:32. Fowler. It's a point shot that deflects in. Thomas and Buchnevich with the assists. Then Chicago answers. At 6:08, it's TOR-VAN from Foligno and Mikheyev, and it was nice of Ryan Suter to tip that 1-5 hole for Chicago. Greatly appreciated. And then at 11:08, Mikheyev goes 5-hole on what's basically an end-to-end rush. Foligno and Vlasic with the assists. So all of a sudden you have a 5-4 lead in favor of Chicago. We get a power play for the Hawks. That's killed off. And then at 15:23, Robert Thomas scores to tie the game at 5. Buchnevich and Broberg with the assists. So we are going to overtime. In the overtime, there's a glove save on TOR-VAN. Shen has a net drive chance that's saved. There was a pad save on Robert Thomas. And then Jones's buzzer beater ends up being just a near miss. So we go to the shootout. It takes until round 10. Radek Faksa ends it there. St. Louis wins in a shootout 6-5. They go to 25-26-5 with the win. With the shootout loss, Chicago 17-31-7 on the year. Shots on net favored St. Louis the whole way through. 10-8 in the first, 17-3 in the second, 8-6 in the third, 5-3 for St. Louis in the overtime. Final shots 40-20 for St. Louis. Power plays. Chicago 0 for 1, St. Louis 0 for 2. The hits 27-12 for St. Louis. Soderblom 35 saves on 40 shots, and Binnington, who time after time after time they talked about him being Team Canada's goalie at Four Nations, 15 saves on 20 shots. He's going to have a better save percentage than that for the tournament, which starts in a few days here, and we'll see how well appreciated that tournament is. All right, next up. The last one on this board is Toronto and Vancouver. And does Vancouver know how to have a chess match against Toronto? Again. So, Wool versus Demko. The teams trade early turnovers. The shots are 3-0 for the Leafs at 3 minutes. The Canucks press at 6 minutes. And eventually they score. At 7 minutes, Hronek scores from Elias Pettersson, the number 40 right here, represented right here by that sign. Forbert with the other assist there as well. Locker stall marker. There you go. So 1-0 Vancouver. Now the Leafs press to respond. Nyes fires one high from the left circle, and this is right around where Demko exits the game. Lankinen goes in relief. Lankinen was good in relief. There's already been, I've seen the doom and gloom about Demko. The good news being they don't play for 2 weeks. So hopefully whatever it is not a big deal. He has 2 weeks to heal up. And so I'm not in any kind of a panic mode at this point. So the shots are 8-6 for Canucks with 8 minutes left. The Leafs press with 6.5 minutes left. Matthews fires one wide from the slot. 3:04 left. The Canucks get a power play. That's killed off. It is a 1-0 lead for Vancouver after 1. Second period. Shots are 2-1 Toronto at 3 minutes. Teams trade rushes. The Canucks press at 7 minutes. Good forechecking by the Canucks. It leads to a post for Tyler Myers. The Leafs are blocking the middle of the ice. The shots are 6-3 Toronto with 9 minutes left. The Canucks press with 3 minutes left with 2:10 left. The Leafs get a power play. That's killed off, but seconds after at 19:54, posting in from the left circle for Morgan Rielly, Ekman Larson, and Matthews with the assists. So it's 1-1 after 2. Third period. Teams trade turnovers. Shots are 2 apiece at 3.5 minutes. A net feed to O'Connor. Near miss there for the Canucks. McMahon has a one-timer that's held. Nylander mishandles one where he's on a fast break. Then we get a power play for the Canucks. And they score on it at 8:56. It's Brock Besser putting one past a screen from the slot. Hedl and Hronek with the assist. So there's Hedl with another point, and it's 2-1 for Vancouver. Leafs look to respond. The Canucks press with 9.5 minutes left. The shots were 7-4 for Vancouver with 4 minutes left. With 3:02 left, though, the Leafs get a power play. Matthews was denied. Lankinen holds there. They did make it a 6-on-4, and yet the Canucks killed that off, and they hold on. They win this one 2-1. They go into the break 3 points above that playoff line. They're 26-18-11 on the season with the win. With the loss, Toronto 33-20-2, and they lose ground on the Florida Panthers. Shots on net, 11-6 Vancouver in the first, 14-6 Toronto in the second. Both teams had 8 shots in the third. Final shots, 28-25 for the Leafs. Power plays, Toronto 0 for 2, Vancouver 1 for 2. The hits, 22-19 for Vancouver. Woll saves 23 out of 25. Demko saved all 6 shots before he left the game hurt, and Lankinen saved 21 out of 22. So again, we'll see what happens in 2 weeks' time. And now we're going to go to board number 2. All right, so we have some more 80s games to discuss. Luukkonen versus Annunen as the Buffalo Sabres were in Nashville to play the Preds. Early press by Buffalo. McLeod has a net feed that's picked off. Shots are 2 apiece at 5.5 minutes, and at 6:57, Tommy Novak opens the scoring, unassisted for Nashville. Then there's a press by Nashville at 8 minutes, and at 9:26, on a rush, it's a tic-tac-toe play that's finished by Shea. O'Reilly and Marchessault with the assists. It's 2-0 in favor of Nashville. Shots are 6-5, though, for Buffalo with 9 minutes left. And at 15:21, Byram scores from Zucker and Tuck. So that makes it 2-1. Krebs then has a tip shot that's held. And at 18:25, Dahlin scores for Buffalo from Gilbert and McLeod. We have a 2-2 tie. With 18 seconds left, the Preds go to the power play. So with the score tied at 2, that power play rolls over into the second period, where Buffalo finishes the kill. Shots are 3-2 Nashville at 4.5 minutes. The Sabres press at 6.5 minutes. Not a lot of room for either team at that point in the game. Teams trade turnovers. Things get pushy on a hold by Luukkonen. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Nyquist has a net feed that's held. We get a power play for Nashville, and they score on it. Forsberg from O'Reilly and Yossi at 14:31. Preds look for another, and they find it. At 15:13, Shea scores from O'Reilly and Marchessault. So O'Reilly had himself a game. But the Sabres answer at 17:43. Dahlin puts one, or Tuck puts one in from the slot as they press. Byram and Dahlin with the assists on that goal. It's 4-3 for Nashville. Sabres press in the final minute, but yeah, it's 4-3 after 2 periods. Third period, Zucker has a rush chance that save. There's a press by Nashville at 4.5 minutes. The Sabres press the next shift. Sabres then have a 2-on-1 that misfires. The shots are only 2-1 in favor of the Sabres at 6.5 minutes. And at 6:58, Forsberg puts one far corner from the left circle. O'Reilly with the assist. That's his 4th assist of the game, which apparently ties a career high for him. But we get a power play for Buffalo. That becomes a 5-on-3. They don't score during the 5-on-3, but during the 5-on-4 on the other side, Cousins buries one. Tuck and Power with the assists at 12:28. The Sabres then tie the game, but was it offside? Yep, that comes off the board. The goalie press happens, or the goalie pull, I should say, happens with 2:20 left. And at 19:23, Jonathan Marchessault hits the empty net to get the win for Nashville at 6-4. So it's an 80s magnet for this. Nashville 19-28-7 with the win. Buffalo 22-27-5. The misery continues. Shots on net, 13-10 Buffalo in the first, 8-7 Nashville in the second, 9-5 Buffalo in the third. Final shots 29-23 for the Sabres. Power plays, both teams 1 for 2. The hits, 33-22 for Nashville. Luukkonen, 17 saves on 22 shots. Annunen, 25 saves on 29 shots. So, I mean, sloppy games are entertaining, right? That's generally the rule. All right, next up, the Islanders in Minnesota. So it's Sorokin versus Gustafsson, and at 3:19 on zone entry from the high slot, Rossi scores from Boldy and Spurgeon. So there you go. It's a lead for Minnesota, which lasts till, well, right about then. Palmieri scores at 3:32 from Nelson and Siplikov. So the Islanders allow that lead to stand for 13 seconds. Not too shabby. The shots are 3-2 for New York at 6.5 minutes. We get a power play for the Islanders. That's killed off. The Wild then draw a power play, so the Islanders kill that one off as well. Things are pushy on a hold by Sorokin. The teams trade turnovers. The Wild press with 6 minutes left. The shots are 10-7 Wild with 4.5 minutes left. Siplikov fires one wide from the slot. It's 1-1 after the first. Second period, at 28 seconds, Brock Nelson scores to give the Islanders the lead. Siplikov and Palmieri with the assists. The Wild look to respond. Lee has a rebound chance that's held. The Islanders press at 4 minutes. In fact, 6 minutes in, the shots are 5-2 for the Islanders. And at 7:17, Lee scores from Perunovic. So that makes it 3-1 for the Islanders. They're in complete control at this stage. The Wild press at 8.5 minutes. Horvat has a one-timer that's held. The shots are 12-3 for the Islanders with 9 minutes left. We then get a power play for the Wild, though, and at 13:21, Gaudreau puts one in off D'Angelo's leg. Ogren and Faber with the assists. That makes it 3-2. The Islanders press to respond, but at 17:59, on a turnover, Boldy buries one on a nice cycle play. Brodeen and Spurgeon with the assists. It makes it 3-3. And then at 18:50, Trennan tips one 5-hole to give Minnesota their second lead of the game. Middleton and Kuznetsov with the assists. It's 4-3 Minnesota after 2. Third period, Boldy's denied on a turnover. The Wild press at a minute and a half. Johansson fires one wide on a breakaway. The shots are 6-1, I should say, for the Wild at 5 minutes. And at 5:51, Boldy scores. Now there's no assists because it's an own goal because D'Angelo wired it into his own net. So Boldy gets credited with the goal as the last Minnesota Wild player to touch it, but it was a nice goal by D'Angelo. The Wild press at 8 minutes. We get a power play for New York. That's killed off. There's an early goalie pull because they're down by a couple. And so Foligno hits the empty net dead center from the other end of the ice at 15:46. Your final score in this one, 6-3 for Minnesota. One goal short of an 80s game. 33-19-4 is the record for Minnesota. With the loss, the Islanders 25-23-7. A couple costly losses this week. Shots on net, 12-8 Minnesota in the first, 14-9 Islanders in the second, 12 apiece in the third. Final shots, 34-33 for the Islanders. Power plays, New York 0-2. Minnesota 1-2. The hits, 17-13 for the Islanders. Sorokin saves 28 out of 32. Gustafsson, 31 saves on 34 shots. All right, next up, Seattle and Calgary. This was quite the roller coaster ride eventually. As to Cord versus Wolf, there's an early Flames power play. That was killed off. 3 shots on net. Teams trade rushes. The shots are 6-2 for Calgary at 6.5 minutes. The Kraken press at 7 minutes. Flames then get some pressure of their own halfway through the period. We get a power play for Seattle. That became a 5-on-3. It's killed off because Dustin Wolf said so. Shots are 10-8 for Seattle with 5 minutes left, telling you just how many shots they were getting and how much they had turned the momentum in their favor. Flames press with 4 minutes left with 2:39 left. Seattle gets a power play. That's killed off as well. It's 0-0 after the first. Second period, at 2:22, Morgan Frost roofs one on a rush. He seems to be fitting in pretty well in Calgary. Sharangovich and Weegar with the assist. Plus, Frost for the Flames? Come on, it works. So it's 1-0 Calgary at that stage. The Kraken press at 4.5 minutes. The teams trade rushes. The Flames press at 7 minutes. Bjorkstrand has a rush shot, or a screenshot, I should say, that's held. Shots are 5-3 Calgary at 8.5 minutes. The Flames press with 7.5 minutes left. They get more pressure with 4 minutes left. The Kraken then get some pressure with 3 minutes left, and then things are kind of unpleasant at the horn. And so Calgary has a full power play to start the third period, where they're already up 1-0. So there's a shorthanded breakaway by Brandon Tanev. That's denied. The power play's killed off. 1 shot on net. The shots are actually 4-2 for Seattle at 5 minutes. But at 6:36, Kadri buries a net feed. Huberdeau and Miramanov with the assists. It's 2-0 for Calgary. That's considered to be an insurance goal, right? The Flames press at 9 minutes. But at 13:11, man, Shane Wright lately. He scores from Larson and Burakovsky. And then at 15:19, Burakovsky scores from Shane Wright. So Wright with a couple of points tonight, and suddenly it's a 2-2 tie. Schwartz has a wraparound, near miss there. Kadri has a net feed that's picked off. It's 2-2. We're going to overtime. In the overtime, the Flames controlled early. We get a power play for Seattle. The Kraken call a timeout while the referee's informed that he sucks. He may not have known, so he did seem kind of sad. At any rate, at 2:58, Beniers ends the game. He wires it past a screen from the slot. Dunn and Stevenson with the assists. And Seattle wins in overtime 3-2. They go to 24-29-4 with a desperately needed win. Calgary 26-21-8 with the overtime loss. So they're 3 points behind the Canucks for that final playoff spot in the West. Shots on net, 10-9 Seattle in the first, 13-5 Calgary in the second, 12-7 Seattle in the third. Seattle had the only shot of the overtime. It's all they needed. Final shots 29-28 for Calgary. Power plays, Seattle 1 for 4, Calgary 0 for 2. Hits 23-17 Seattle. DeCord saves 27 out of 29. Wolf 25 saves on 28 shots. All right, next up, Dallas and San Jose. So, to Smith versus Vanacek, we get an early press by Dallas, but at 1:25, on their first shot, the San Jose Sharks score. It's Eklund from Celebrini into Foley. Stars look to respond, but at 2:46, Zetterlund buries one from the side of the net. Will Smith and Podorowski with the assists. Makes it 2-0 for San Jose, which just seemed to make Dallas angry. 3:02, Duchesne has a slot shot that deflects into the net, and Granlund has the assist on that. So Mikhail Granlund has returned to San Jose, getting points against his former team. We get a power play for Dallas. That's killed off. The Sharks then get a power play of their own. That's killed off as well. And then Robertson tips in a rebound at 10:08 from Dumba and Bischel. So suddenly Dallas has a 2-2 tie on their hands. Stars press for the lead, and at 13:24 they get it. Marchment jams one into the net to make it 3-2. Duchesne and Granlund with the assists, and I went, I'm not taking more notes because I don't know how many goals this game's going to have. So it's 3-2 for Dallas after 2. And really, what else is there to say? Just after that iffy start for Dallas, they were just swarming that rest of that period. Second period, Eklund nearly ties it. Shots are 3-2 for Dallas at 4 minutes. Dumba breaks up a 2-on-1. Sharks press at 5 minutes. The Stars press at 6.5 minutes. We then get a delay of game call. Stars go to the power play, and they score on it. It's Duchesne at 7:30 from Harley and Johnston. It's a point shot that's deflected in. Stars press for another. We get a power play for the Sharks. That's killed off. The Sharks press with 7 minutes left, and then at 15:42, Maverick Bourque goes far side on a rush. The assist to Ben and Dodonov. So it's 5-2 Dallas after 2. Third period, Sharks press at 3 minutes. Shots are 2-1 for San Jose at 4 minutes. Sharks get more pressure at 6 minutes. Dallas is up by 3. They're not concerned. Stars get pinned down, but they're blocking the net pretty well too. Zetterlund has a net drive that's held, and then at 11:20, Wyatt Johnston, who's been really productive for Dallas lately, he scores from Beck and Blackwell. And then at 12:33, Harley goes top corner short side. That's one that Vanacek should have been on the post for. The assists on that one from Lindell and Hintz. And then at 13 minutes, Dewar answers for San Jose from Grundstrom and Delandria, a former Dallas Star, and that was a rebound that was buried by Dewar there. But then at 13:35, Ben gets one from Bischel to make the score 8-3, which is your final, which means the 80s Magnets at the top. Dallas goes to 35-18-2 with the win. With the loss, San Jose 15-35-7. I don't think they're going to get to 20 wins this year. And the No Mercy Magnets down here. So I got some workout with the Magnets tonight. Shots on net, 16-5 Dallas in the first, 10-6 San Jose in the second. Both teams had 12 shots in the third. Final shots, 34-27 for Dallas. Power plays, Dallas 1 for 2, San Jose 0 for 2. The hits, 27-10 for San Jose. DeSmith, 24 saves on 27 shots, which is good because he allowed goals on the first 2 shots. Vanacek, 26 saves on 34 shots. Rough night for San Jose's defense and goaltending. All right, and last game of the night, the LA Kings hosting Anaheim. This was a late start because, it was a 7:30 start, and then they had the ceremony for Trevor Lewis's 1,000th game. It was Dostal versus Riddick. Byfield's denied and close. Lewis has denied on a rush. The shots, though, are 4-1 for the Ducks at 4 minutes, so one of those chances wasn't counted as a shot. Things are pushing on a hold by Dostal. The Kings draw a power play. That's killed off. We get pushing again on a hold by Dostal. Kings press at the half. The Ducks press with 7.5 minutes left. They get more pressure with 2.5 minutes left, but there's no score after the first. Second period, early press by Anaheim. Laferriere has a chance that's held. We get a power play for the Ducks. That's killed off by the Kings. Kempe to Fiala, near miss there. Lewis has a tip shot that saved. In fact, Trevor Lewis had a really good game tonight. The Kings press at 5.5 minutes. The shots are 9-4 for LA at 7.5 minutes. The Ducks press at the half. Not a lot of whistles in this period either. Really good flow to the game, which is good because it was a late start. I'm like, yeah, fewer whistles. I support that. So the Ducks press with 6 minutes left. The Kings press with 2 minutes left. Carlson has a rush chance that's saved. There's still no score after the second period. Third period, the Kings draw a power play. That was killed off. The Ducks clear after that's done. The fans call another. The referee doesn't. Fogle then has a rush chance that's held. And then the Kings do draw a power play not long after that. So that's one of those things I sometimes wonder is how often do you get the ref, you suck chant, and fans being angry, and then they get a call not too long after. So the Kings get that power play, but Anaheim kills that off. Shots are 6-1 LA at 7 minutes. But at 7:04, during a delayed call, so as I'm writing at 7 minutes on the board, Dumoulin scores his first of the season, apparently. Trouba and Carlson with the assists. It's 1-0 Anaheim, even though they'd been outplayed badly to that stage of the period. The Kings look to respond. Lewis is denied on a turnover. Terry with a near miss on a turnover at the other end. Teams trade rushes. Kopitar is a one-timer that's held. The momentum was with the Kings after that goal, and you knew that eventually they were going to tie it, and they do. Kempe buries one on a rush at 17:21. Deno and Fogle with the assists. We're going to overtime. The overtime, Ducks controlled early. Fiala has a net drive chance that's blocked. Kopitar's denied. The Ducks rush. They end up getting a power play with about 18 seconds left in overtime. Doesn't matter. They don't score. And we go to the shootout. In the shootout, Ziegler scores on the first chance, and then Carlson scores on the second chance, whereas Dostal made the saves when necessary. Anaheim steals one in LA. They go into the break, 24-24-6. Anaheim's 500. and LA 29-17 and 7 with the overtime loss, and teams behind them caught up a little bit. So anyways, yeah, interesting day in hockey. Shots on net, 9-8 Anaheim in the first, 15-10 LA in the second, 16-5 LA in the third, and in the overtime, 5-1 for the LA Kings. Final shots, 44-25 for the Kings. Power plays, Anaheim 0 for 2, LA 0 for 3. The hits, 18-14 for the Ducks. Dostal was fantastic, 43 saves on 44 shots, but so was Riddick, playing the second half of back-to-backs, 24 saves on 25 shots. So there you go, you're all caught up. This is the last review in this room you're going to have for about 2 weeks' time. So, yeah, exactly 2 weeks' time. So, at any rate, there you go. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. So I'm going to do the power rankings, and those will be posted to the channel at 6 a.m. Pacific in the morning. And then I'm off. So thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.